Good morning. Good Tuesday morning. I try to say the day, not only for you, so you remember the day, but mostly because I never remember the day anymore. Is it Tuesday? It is Tuesday. All right. Good Tuesday morning. See, I had to question myself even then. I hope that this morning that you are waking up with the thought of having the best day ever. Not going to let your day control you today. Not just going to be at the mercy of whatever the day decides to bring you, right? Going to get up, put on a smile, do the things that you have to do, whether you actually like those things or not, and do them to the best of your ability so that when you are trusted with a little, you can then be trusted with a lot. Maybe you can actually be trusted with the things you like to do, right? So I encourage you today. Oh my goodness, my nose. Oh, it's spring. So I encourage you today to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do, being happy about it, okay? Best foot forward, guys. We got this. All right. So today I'm in Psalm 26 still, part 2. And I'll tell you what stood out to me. It actually jumped right out at me while I was reading it. I didn't even have to read it 3 or 4 times. I just felt it as soon as it happened. It says, "All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth." You know, we talked a lot about our path with Jesus and how walking it has obstacles. There are emotions you're going to have to process, hurts you're going to have to deal with, but the biggest first door is walking through what people are going to say about you and the fear and those kinds of things. We talked about that the other day, right? Oh, you know what? Let me do my housekeeping stuff first. If you're watching this now and we're watching the replay, please don't forget to comment, like, interact, anything. Sometimes things apparently happen on social media, so if you find value in this and you want to continue to see it, don't forget to interact with it. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like it. If you want to find my YouTube where I upload all the videos, they are in the link in the bio, okay? Podcast, link in the bio. And the reason that I say this is because I get questions about this every day, and so I just want to go ahead and say it. That way you guys have that. Okay, so back to point. Now, we know that path is not the easiest one to take. Not meant to be. It's okay because nothing worth having is easy, right? So when it comes to the path of the Lord, a lot of people say, well, how do I know what the path is? And how do I know if this is my path? Because there are a lot of times that Satan tries to snare us. Even at the bottom it says, my eyes are upon the Lord who frees my feet from the snare. And he tries to snare us by mimicking a path that looks like maybe it's meant for us. Maybe it's a path we really want to take because it's the easy way. Because it's something we really want to do or have. Maybe Satan is taking off of our feelings. We have feelings about certain things, and he knows what they are, and so he wants to get into them, make them control you, and then have them send you down this different path. And we think this path looks great, right? It's kind of one of those paths where it's like the greener is on the other side, but the greener is actually right where you make it, but you're too shielded by that to see it, so you see the other side and you think the greener is over there, right? So when that happens and you want to decide whether or not this is a path that's right for you, one, you're going to have to own it. What do I mean by that? Look, the thing about it is we all have free will. We can all make decisions, and that's the point of having free will. But you know when something is right and when something is wrong. Okay? You know that. You know it deep down. You have that feeling in your heart. You know it in your brain. But your feelings are trying to take you to a different place because they have this control. I want to feel good. I want to feel like this is happening to me. I want to feel beautiful. I want to feel happy. I want to feel this. And you think you don't right now. So if you go over there, you will. But it's a cheap fix, guys. Hear me so loud and so clear. It is a cheap fix. It is absolutely not something that is going to make you feel any of those things for any length of time. And at some point, you're going to feel worse going over to that greener pasture and taking that snare than you would if you stayed right where you are and worked on what's going on in your life. Worked on being happy where you are right now. Worked on what God has given you right now. Because God will not give you a path that is a snare. Listen, I want you to hear me on this. God will not give you a path that is a snare. He will not give you a path that is an easy fix to something. He wants you to stay. He wants you to grow where you are. He wants you to work on who you are right where you are. He does not want you to go over to somewhere that looks better because your feelings are taking you there. I feel like this is a really hard point for us to learn, and because I've seen it 1.5 million times where people say, well, that looks better because of blah, 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 blah. It looks easier. I'm going to go there. And instead of being called to go there, they go there because their feelings tell them to do it. If you need to know if this is a snare or if this is the right path, then I need you to sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and think about what God really wants you to do. And how can you figure that out? Look, it's right here. He tells you in this Bible what is the right thing, what is the wrong thing, what is the snare. He tells you in here. He is very clear. He tells you. And so when you look at it and you say, okay, this is what this says. This is what the Bible says. But this is what my feeling is saying. And your feeling is not matching up. Understand that that is a snare. And you're going to have to look at head on for what it is. You're going to have to realize that your feelings are controlling you. Because if you don't, then when someone comes to you and says, this is the wrong path for you, don't do this. You're going to mess up things in your life if you do this. I mean, this could be about addiction. This could be about infidelity. This could be about anything in your life, even as something as small as changing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, but I'm just, for some reason, feel led to tell you that you have to understand that there are a lot of snares in life, and you have to be willing. Good morning, Mandy. And you have to be willing to look them in the face, look yourself in the face, and realize that your feelings have controlled you now to a point where you might be getting off of the path that God has given you into a snare because it looks and it feels better and easier. But it is a cheap fix. And I've actually talked about this some on my podcast because it really, 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 really hurts my heart because I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it. I understand what a cheap fix is, what it looks like. It looks like no work. And for some reason now, we feel like if we have to work for something, that it's going to be scary, that we shouldn't do it because we might fail. Remember, failing only happens if you actually quit. So don't look for the cheap fixes. Don't look for the snares. And if you find a snare and you're not sure if it's a snare, Sit down and have a blatant conversation with yourself. Understand what Jesus wants from you, and understand that this is not going to give it to you. A cheap fix, a snare, is only going to make you unhappier in the long run. Because remember, all the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth. The path to a cheap fix is not that. When you are snared, that's not it. Yesterday I talked a little bit about, so that was what jumped out at me in the actual Bible today. But today, then I read my little book here. You're already awesome. Yesterday I talked about, starting small, taking small steps, doing the small things first. And something really hit me today when they said, distance first, then speed. We talked about this yesterday. We have these big dreams, these big goals, these big aspirations. Maybe we're sitting on the couch waiting for something to pull us off to make us do them. Maybe we are scared to take that first step because we don't know what it's going to look like, how it's going to go. We don't know how much work we're going to have to put into it, which we just talked about a minute ago. And so we might be unwilling to start. Or we're on the other end where we want to bite off way more than we can chew. We want to take on more than we are ready for. And in the first 2 minutes, we run, say, at a speed of like 5 miles per hour uphill on an incline of 10. And then we're like, forget it, I'm done with this. Like that's me. I have done that. 5 miles an hour, uphill incline of 10, gotten off, thought I was going to fall over because my legs felt like Jell-O, and said, this is not a thing that I want to do. But the problem is I tried to put speed first. Think about it. When your child is ready to walk, or any child is ready to walk, do you stand them up and say, run? I mean, some kids do that. But do you stand them up and say, run? No, you do not. It is a process. It is one small step at a time. And honestly, a baby walking is a process not only for the baby to get better at it, to get more stable at it, to become more confident in themselves, but it is a process for the parents. Because let me tell you what, if your child is getting ready to crawl and walk, you need to be ready. You need to see what that's going to be like. The first time my child decided to crawl, he crawled right over to the dog bowl and put a piece of dog food in his mouth that he couldn't chew up. That was so fantastic. That was fun. At that point, I realized that everything had to come off the floor. But I didn't think about it before then. That is baby stepping you as a parent, not just baby stepping you as a baby. So you do not want your baby to get up and crawl and run right away. You may think you're ready until that moment where they find something that you had no idea that they would put in their mouth, or you had no idea they could hurt themselves with. I'm going to tell you what, a baby can hurt himself padded in a round room. So just know that. Okay, look, baby steps are more for you as a parent, and as they are just the same as for you as a parent as they are for a baby. So understand that in anything, baby steps are important. One step at a time is important. Not biting off more than you can chew in the beginning is important to keep you on that path, to keep you from quitting, to keep you from full on stopping and saying, no, this is not for me, and starting over again. And I know these are all things that we have talked about before, but they need to be reiterated almost every day sometimes, because when you are on a path that could be wrought with obstacles that you have to deal with, that you have to process, that you have to work through, that you have to grow through, it's not an easy path. It's not something that you might want to, you might be having a bad day. You might not want to do it that day. Your feelings might be trying to overtake you that day. And say, oh, it's okay, just sit down, have a little break, drink some water, you're good. But look, feelings are for processing. The more that you process with them, the less hold that they will have over you, the less hold that they will keep you from doing things, right? And so little steps at a time. Jesus says we can do all things through him, but he does not say that we have to do it all. I did a podcast yesterday about why you should take a day off. why you should intentionally take a day off. And one of the points is so that he can pick it up. So that he can pick it up. Because if you lay it down, if you never lay it down, if you constantly carry it right here, he can't pick it up for you. He needs to be able to do the big work. He needs to be able to multiply it for you, and you need to take the small steps every single day. The last thing I really want to leave you with here is every morning I kind of start with, if whatever you're doing today, do it to the best of your ability, do it with a smile on your face, do it with love, do it with kindness, even if you don't like what it is. And there is a verse in Matthew that I figured I would get to eventually, and then I'd be like, this is the verse that I'm always talking about, okay? But there's also a verse in Luke that is kind of the same. And it says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Do you know that the first time I read that verse in Matthew, I almost hit a snare? Because the verse in Matthew says, good job. I mean, this is not word for word, just so you know, so don't quote me. Good job, my good and faithful servant. You have done well, or something like that. And I was like, he is not talking to me. But the next part talks about the same thing that Luke just said, was whatever you are given that is small, if you take care of it, then you will be given more. That was the verse that I needed to read. But see, the snare that I got caught in was the first part. And I was like, and for some reason I couldn't get off of it, and I couldn't figure out why. And then when I really read the second part, and I sat down and I took some time to reevaluate, take my temperature, and look in the mirror and say, what is going on here? I realized that the snare was trying to take me and say, you've done a good job. You don't have to do anything else. What's the point? You're good. That's not true. We have work to do. Okay? And we cannot be scared of the work that has to be done. Because the work that has to be done grows the kingdom for Jesus. That work can be love. That work can be whatever it is. But we have work to do. And we cannot be scared of that work. So, I am very grateful for you guys. I'm proud of you for being here, for taking the time to give yourself some devotion time. I know it's hard to every day try to stay out of the snares. I know that they will try to come, because the more that you give your light and life to Jesus, the more the snares will come out. But you're doing a great job. And I'm proud of you.